Psalm 105 part 2, and this is going to be continuation. It seems that it's a remembrance of what was going on at that time, or a reminder of what was going on of his promise. This might end up being titled His Everlasting Promise, story of his promise, because it's telling us this story. But we left off with he made him Lord. He made Joseph Lord of his storehouse, the ruler over his produce. And it would have to be, and he, because it was Joseph that sent him to prison, imprisoned his brothers. Well, I guess 2 doesn't need to go there. And he didn't do it to teach him the wisdom, to teach his brothers, to teach his elders his wisdom. Because our Creator made him like second to the king, so to teach his elders his wisdom, his power. Because he could do whatever he wanted. He was showing them his power. He was demanding things. They knew they had to answer to him. They didn't, but the quick story here. Then sent for his father Israel. I think this all has to be added, because if not, because this is Israel came to, you got to understand, I'm trying to tell the story here. Teach his power, then sent for his father Israel. Yeah, because I can see it's in the next verse here. Thus Israel, I guess it'll probably be journeyed to the land of Egypt. His power. And he sent for his father Israel. Well, we know the story that they sent for all their family, all 66 of them, with their children to come down. Thus Israel's, I guess, can be said, journeyed to the land of Egypt. Caused his people to be very fruitful and made them stronger than their adversary. That adversaries. You're in a kingdom. I don't see it as adversaries. I see it as he caused his people to multiply. Well, I'll do that later. I'm trying to get this done. I don't want to. I want to save some for later. Then, and he made them stronger. They aren't adversaries. Then they're neighbors. I would say neighbors, right? I mean, if I put neighbors, I think that's more correctly being said. Then I think I should introduce his name here at this time. Then, so we know who's doing what here. Even though the wording, the way I will give respect and honor to our Creator in the text, you would recognize that. But then YV turned and turned their king's heart. Turned their king's heart. I don't know if this is one verse or not. His people. And he didn't deal craftily with them. Crafty. No. He dealt harshly. Harshly with his servants. Then you gotta have these thens there, otherwise maybe I'm just adding them because I'm seeing it, or that's what's just coming to my mind as I'm reading here. Servant. And Aaron, whom he chose. They didn't perform his wondrous words. They weren't miracles in the land of Egypt. They were plagues. Among them, his plagues. I'm going to put his plagues here. I guess and his plagues in the land. Who he chose, then he performed, then he brought forth. I would say brought forth is more of it. because there was many of them. And I'll say then again, because it wasn't, those two guys weren't, they were just acting as agents. Then they brought forth his wonders. I would say ERS. Get rid of that. Say I changed this. Then he brought forth his wonders, his plagues in the land of Egypt. Okay. No, this didn't happen first, so that's got to be moved. And I'm going to move that later. And probably edit it later. He turned their waters. No, it wasn't blood, okay? Red iron. He turned their water into red iron minerals. You can't leave the word blood there. That isn't what he did. The iron and the water. He turned their waters into redness. How's that? I hope I got away from that. Anyway, you gotta turn their waters to redness. Not into, but turn their waters to redness, causing the fish to die out. Then I'm going to have to check this whole order of things here. Then their land swarmed with frogs. Even, yes, this is true. Even in the chambers of their king. Then there came swarms of flies. Gnats were and all I'm going to put Egypt were everywhere. Everywhere in Egypt. He sent Sent hail. And it rained. I'm not sure if this is true. If it would rain down fire, rained like, meaning that it did a lot of destroying. So I got to recheck this. Like fire in their land. This is kind of like what it did. So I don't know if it needs to be said, because it's not, I don't think it needs to be said at all. For the simple fact that we're not describing how the frogs died, not how swarms left or the flies left. Then he sent locusts. Then he sent locusts. Young locust without number. Now again, see, now all of a sudden there's telling the story of what happened. So, but this is very important to understand that this would have been in April when everything was, they have the first wheat harvest, I think, is in Egypt in April. So they were, it has to be that, I think wheat takes, 2 months to grow or something like that. So it has to be maybe as it had come up already. But this places what happens next. If this is in April, then this happens a few months later. And that's when what I say gives proof to the first day of the first year that our Creator led them out and established their first year would have been on the summer solstice. It would have been the only thing to mark as what they would have been very well aware of as what would have been the first day, because there's no marking, celestial markings that could be used other than the summer solstice. Then he's killed. Then he killed all their firstborn sons. Then he killed all their firstborn sons. And He led them out. Led, lead. Led, lead, led. Now, among his tribes, and among his tribes, not one stumbled. This has got to be tied to here. So what's missing here is the meal that they had. So because that's very important to understand. So I'm going to just go like this and say there's text missing, and I'm pretty sure I know what it is. He had them eat the Passover as he killed. As he killed all their firstborn sons. Then he led them out. Taking their silver and gold. Among his tribes, no one stumbled. I'm trying to keep them as subjects. Okay. This writer doesn't seem to. I could cut it, but I don't. That's not the intent here. Egyptians were Egyptians. Egyptians were glad. Egyptians were glad when they left. But we know the king comes after them. There's a lot missing here, and there's a lot missing. with my eyes started going, boy, I really was coughing and sneezing in between there. From the rocks, trying to, and from the rocks, water from the rocks, water flowed out. It ran in the desert. Like a great river in the desert. Water flowed out in the desert like a river. Like a river. He remembered his this was not a promise to Abraham, it was Israel. As a nation, as his nation. That is the promise. He would lead them out as his nation. He was going to make a nation of them. And this is his people, know his descendants. I should have done that. Let me. Okay. Found one quick enough with my eyeballs just searching real quick. His descendants as a nation. His chosen ones joyfully shouting. His chosen ones. I don't know if that's even needed because I'm seeing that it's not hooking. And then I need the word then again. Gave them the lands for other nations. And they were kingdoms. They weren't big, but they were kingdoms. That they weren't might to take it, they took it. That they took possession. Of them, I guess, or a better word, but it's getting close to where I gotta say this is out. For them, not might again, to keep his statutes and obey his command. I'm going to say commandments. They're second to statutes. Okay, now that is pretty good, although I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet, but I'm going to clean it up real quick, and you've probably seen me do this before, and I'm just going to do zero replacements. That's what I was looking for. But a lot of this has got to be edited back in. No. How did I do that? I guess I'll just leave it like this and work hard here. Whoops. Yes, I've got great stuff I want to remember. So Okay, I'm only just going to read through this, so you got to take your screenshots as I get it edited. And I guess I'll make it smaller so you don't have 900 screenshots. And yes, I know this needs to be cleaned up. Whoops, I found that some were being 2 verse, but some were being 1 verse. So I'm going to do 2 verse first. And you know that there's also, I noticed there were some that were 4 verse, but I'm reading it, and there's some more work to be done. But you see now the true verses, and that's the name of the game here, to be showing. Whoops. Be showing them. Now, yes, this is what I'm going to do. Is I'm just going to show you now, because this is 38 minutes, and I will have to spend a lot of time cleaning this up. But let's see if I can see the screen. Oh, I didn't turn my lights on again. So, oh well, that happens. I get going and I forget, and I got the switch right here next to me. These are pretty handy little things. But let's see, it comes down to there on my screen. So I need to say screenshot there, and then there, and there, and there. And I should have done the same thing. Anyways, this one's done for now. A lot of editing.